There is a photograph on my kitchen windowsill. It's from the summer of 2009. I'm sitting on a hospital bed in a blue gown. I'm smiling. The smile looks a little uncertain, the way smiles do when someone takes your picture 24 hours after a heart attack. Michael took it. He said he needed proof I was okay. I told him that was a strange way to handle a medical crisis. He said he was my son, and that was how he handled things. I keep the photo there because I need to remember something. It was a Tuesday in October, 2009. I was 71 years old, and I had been retired for 3 years, and I was at my kitchen table doing what I always did in the morning, working through my to-do list with my coffee. The pain started around 7:15, pressure more than pain, like something heavy had been set on my chest. My first thought, I want you to really hear this, my first thought was, I need to reschedule the dentist. Not something is wrong, not call someone, not sit down. Reschedule the dentist. Because I would be out of commission for a few days and I had a cleaning on Thursday. By 7:30, I was certain something was wrong. The pressure had spread across my left shoulder. My arm felt strange. I called Michael. He called 911. He was there at the hospital before the paramedics had finished their paperwork. My name is Pat Walsh. I'm 80 years old. I had a heart attack at 71, and it taught me things I couldn't have learned any other way. Please don't wait for this lesson the way I did. I should tell you about the years before. The context matters. I had retired in 2006 after 30 years in hospital administration, department head, then regional director, then a role I'd worked toward for a decade. I retired because the system pushed me out, politely, with a card and a lunch, but out nonetheless. The new leadership wanted a particular kind of flexibility I was not willing to provide. So I left, and I was angry about it. Very quietly, very functionally angry. I channeled it the way I channeled everything, into effort. In retirement, I managed my finances with the focus of a portfolio manager. I joined 4 community organizations. I maintained a schedule that would have exhausted a person 20 years younger. I thought I was doing well. My blood pressure was fine. My cholesterol was borderline, but managed with medication. I exercised, walked mostly, briskly, with purpose. I thought I was doing everything right. What I wasn't doing, sleeping enough. What I wasn't doing, slowing down. What I wasn't doing, sitting with the anger at the way my career had ended instead of converting it into activity. The cardiologist, her name was Dr. Reyes, young, precise, no nonsense in a way I respected, told me after the procedure that the physical event was addressable. She said, "Ms. Walsh, the blockage is clear. You'll do cardiac rehab, you'll adjust your medications, and physically you should recover well." Pause. Then she said, "Can I ask you something personal?" Doctors don't usually ask that. I said yes. She said, "What do you do to rest? Not exercise, not productivity, just rest. I had no answer. That was the moment. Not the chest pressure at 7:15, not the ambulance, not waking up in the hospital. The moment was sitting in that bed in the blue gown and realizing I couldn't answer a question that a 35-year-old doctor thought was basic. I had always believed my body was a system to be managed, like a department. If I gave it the right inputs, exercise, reasonable diet, medication, it would perform. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought management was care. It isn't always. Sometimes care is rest. Sometimes care is sitting still. Sometimes care is feeling the thing you're converting into activity instead of converting it. The anger about my career, I never felt it, not really. I filed it under unfortunate but resolved and moved on. The grief about my marriage, same thing, filed, managed. The loneliness of living alone in my 60s, useful fuel for community involvement. Every feeling I had, I converted, and my body kept the score. Cardiac rehab was 12 weeks. I was the most compliant patient they had ever had. I attended every session. I logged every meal. I completed every assigned exercise. And then, about 6 weeks in, my rehab coordinator, a man named Tom who had the patience of someone who has seen everything, told me something I didn't expect. He said, "Ms. Walsh, you're doing everything right on paper." I said, "But?" He said, "But you're doing it the same way you probably did everything else, perfectly, and perfectly isn't always what the heart needs." I could have dismissed that, a rehab coordinator with a philosophy degree, but I'd just had a heart attack. I was slightly more open to alternative inputs. He told me that a lot of his type A patients, he called it that plainly, no apology, came in, complied completely, and then had second events within 5 years. Because they had changed their inputs, but not their relationship with themselves. They had swapped one set of perfect behaviors for another, and underneath, nothing had changed. He said, "The heart attack is the body's memo. What does it say to you?" I sat with that for a long time. What did it say? I think it said, "You have been running from something for 40 years, and I have been trying to get your attention, and now you have to stop." The thing I was running from is not dramatic. It's not one event. It's not a single wound. It's the accumulated weight of being the person who held everything together for decades without ever asking whether that was the life she actually wanted or the life she fell into because she was good at it. Those are different things. Being good at something and wanting it. I confused them my entire career. I was good at administration. I am still convinced of that. But did I want it the way I wanted it? Did I want it at the cost of everything else? I don't know. I never stopped long enough to ask. After rehab, I made changes. Some practical, medication adjusted, diet improved, the walking continued. But also this, I started reading in the afternoon, not for information, for pleasure. I sat in the chair by the window for an hour every day with a novel. The first 2 weeks felt like theft, like I was stealing something I hadn't earned. And then, slowly, it stopped feeling like theft. It started feeling like oxygen. Here is what I want to tell you, and I want to say it plainly because I am a plain-speaking person. Your body is not a machine to be optimized. I know, you've heard that. It's a thing people say. I'm saying it because I didn't believe it until a blockage in my left anterior descending artery made it impossible to argue with. Your body is tracking things you're not tracking. It is keeping account of the things you convert and ignore. And at some point, not as punishment, just as consequence, it sends a message. The message I got was loud. It didn't have to be that loud. I've had 9 years since that heart attack. Good years. Real years. I read in the afternoon. I talk to Karen more than I used to. Not easily, but really. I call Michael every Sunday and we don't solve anything. We just talk. I sleep 7 hours. I know that sounds basic. It's not basic for me. It took a medical event and 9 years of practice. I stop filling every hour with purpose. Some hours have no purpose. They're just hours, and I'm in them, and that's enough. The photograph stays on the windowsill. Some mornings I walk into the kitchen and I look at that woman in the blue gown, the uncertain smile, the morning after she was told how close it had been. I look at her and I think, she's still running, even in the hospital bed. She's thinking about the dentist and the to-do list. And I think, you're allowed to stop now. You've been allowed to stop all along. You just didn't know it yet. If you're someone who has been running, and you know what I mean, I can tell from here who you are. I want to ask you something. What does your body keep trying to tell you? Not dramatically, the small things, the shoulder that won't relax, the sleep that won't come all the way, the coffee that doesn't help the way it used to. Listen to it before it has to be louder. That's all I'm saying. That's everything. Leave me a comment if you've been through something like this, a health scare that changed something, or one you're still waiting for the lesson from. I read every one. And if someone you love is running on empty and won't admit it, send them this. Sometimes it takes hearing it from someone who's been there. I've been there. I came back. You can too.